Life is like a hardcore video game where the good tasks that you perform, such as working out, eating the right food, socializing, will raise your level higher. And the bad tasks you perform, eating the wrong food, laying around watching TV, scrolling on social media, will inversely lower your level. Now, you can incorporate good habits to try and raise your level as much as you want, but the truth is, if you're still living like you're at level 1, then you're going to stagnate at a lower level. What does this look like practically? This looks like meditating to clear your mind for 20 minutes a day, but you actually spend 4 hours scrolling on social media. So in the end, you're meditating for presence, but your presence level is actually weirdly lowering because you're performing more of these tasks that are going to lower your level. So, in that analogy, that 20 minutes of meditation will probably do great things for your mind because your brain's probably accustomed to the 4 hours of social media. But if you never did the social media in the first place, if you cut out that vice, then you would level up much faster. And there's going to be a point where that 20 minutes of meditation is going to get canceled out. And then you won't level up any further. You're going to stay at the same level in the video game and become complacent. Now, I'm a gut health channel, so I'm going to bring this in a gut health direction now. I was at a Bible study yesterday that me and my friends host. It's really wholesome. It's a great opportunity for us to have fellowship and be able to socialize with each other in a wholesome manner. It's great. Anyways, we were reading the Bible and I had wanted to apply it in a practical way. I had something to say and I tried to express my thoughts, enunciate what I had wanted to say, and I found myself getting lost halfway through the first sentence. So I started over and I started trailing on and I got lost again. It was a 3 sentence thought. It should have been really easy for me to express. I've been practicing my speaking. That should have been something that was a no-brainer for me. It should have happened because I was at that level. But before the Bible study, I'd made the decision to eat a bowl of mac and cheese that they had prepared. My buddy's mom had prepared it for us. So I ate it. And in turn, my level went down. I wasn't able to enunciate my thoughts, and as a consequence, the people at the Bible study's opinions of me had definitely dropped. Like without a doubt, I have relationships with all of the people obviously, so it's not like they hate me instantly, but we live in a cutthroat world where, say I'm a YouTuber. If you're watching a YouTuber and he's constantly trailing off, losing his mind, yeah, well, I was walking and I saw this girl and she said what did she say? Anyways, this girl said, "Oh, I like you." And that was the first time that a girl had ever approached me. You would click off instantly. You wouldn't listen to that YouTuber because there's just better people to expose your brain to. It's the same thing with friendships. If your friends are very low quality and you have access to higher quality people, you're probably not going to hang out with the lower quality people. Now, what I mean by lower quality is people who maybe they experience this brain fog. Maybe they don't engage in the best habits. Maybe they don't have a lot of drive because their testosterone is low. If you have the opportunity to have a friend that more so matches your energy level, then you're probably going to hang around that person more. If you have a friend who just speaks about more intelligent things, and you're into that, you're probably going to hang out with them more. This is just how the rat race of life works. If someone has a product that's cheaper than the product that you're already paying for, say you have a subscription, you're going to get the cheaper product if it has the same quality. So, in truth, you want to be at the highest level possible so that people want to be around you. If I continue in this cycle of eating mac and cheese and getting brain fog, then these people, their opinion of me is going to shift. Sure, we might still have the Bible study, but their respect for me is ultimately going to go down. And no one wants this. There's something called the Pareto distribution. Jordan Peterson talks about it a lot. He's a speaker on like the right wing. Anyways, what the Pareto distribution is the top 1% of rich people hold 50% of the finances. The top 1% of scientists are putting out 90% of the studies. The top 1% of athletes are making 90% of the money. The top 1% of guys are getting 90% of the girls. Maybe that's an oversimplification, but think about how many girls would jump at the chance to date Drake if they had the opportunity to. They would instantly leave the guy that they're with. You can see this in the animal kingdom too. It's everywhere. In the animals, the same thing happens. The top 1%, the top 10% of animals, the most dominant animals, get most of the chicks. So you want to be at the highest level possible so that you reap the benefits of the Pareto distribution. If the top 1% of athletes are getting 90% of the money and you're in the bottom 99%, you're not getting much money from being an athlete. So whatever craft you go into, whether this is trying to master your brain, trying to master your gut, trying to master your fitness, you want to be at the highest level possible. Because we don't want to live mediocre lives. We're ambitious young men. The goal is to be great. Now, I've been thinking about why mac and cheese caused this brain fog for me. And it was kind of like an instant brain fog moment where a couple years ago I had developed a whey sensitivity. Whey is a type of protein found in dairy. And I was jamming protein shakes. I just started in the gym and I overdid it. And now I'm sensitive to whey and I'm basically lactose intolerant. So now that I'm trying to upgrade my gut, this introduction of sauerkraut has diversified my gut. And since the lining is stronger, it ultimately caused a stronger reaction to the whey. And it went straight to my brain and caused brain fog. Now, that might not look the same for you. You might not get extreme brain fog after a bowl of mac and cheese. But this can also happen whenever you eat any sort of processed sugar. After coming off of carnivore, I have become hypersensitive to I've become very aware of brain fog. That's the right word. I've become very aware of it. Whenever I eat sugar, whenever I eat this cheese, and I notice that my brain isn't functioning at the level it was supposed to, I look back at that baseline in my carnivore days, and I realize, hey, my brain's not supposed to function like that. Before I tried carnivore, I really didn't know. I lived in a constant state of brain fog, a constant state of unease. My gut was always a little bit bloated, and I never really noticed that. So this is something I want you guys to try. I want you to try a really strict diet like carnivore, meat and eggs, maybe for a week, maybe for 2 weeks. You're going to hate it. I hated my first 2 weeks on carnivore. It was awful. But the benefits you're going to reap will then show you what your baseline should be and maybe what you need to cut out. Because we want to be at the top of this Pareto distribution in gut health so that we perform better in any sort of trade, whatever we want to do. Your gut health is going to matter for that. Whether it's a 1% increase in brain function, whether it's a 1% increase in physical function. Pro athletes would jump at that opportunity like that. It's really important to keep ourselves healthy. So I would recommend that you try not try this elimination diet. See what something like bread does to you. The reason that white bread is so bad, by the way, some people might not know this. Whenever you eat something like white bread, it lacks something called fiber, which is found on the outside of fruits. It's found on any carb that comes from the ground, fruits, vegetables. It's not found in bread because it's refined. Now, this bread, since it is a carbohydrate, gets converted into sugar in our digestive tract, glucose specifically. And since there's no fiber in bread, or very little fiber, you can eat a lot of bread and not feel full. So, whenever you're eating all of this bread and not feeling full, your glucose levels, in turn, are going to be really high. Now, when your glucose levels in your bloodstream are high, something like insulin, something called insulin, is released. And what the insulin does is it regulates it. It puts the glucose into our cells, whether that be fat cells or any other cells, and it gives you energy. So carbohydrates get turned into energy. Now, if you're eating far too much glucose, your insulin packs it into fat cells. Because in theory, back in our evolutionary days, whatever, we want to prepare for the winter, like bears hibernate. We want to put on weight because throughout the dawn of time, we didn't actually have that many resources available. We would prepare for times of struggle, our bodies. And now we're in a unique position where we don't get those times of struggle anymore. So we're eating all of this glucose, all of this white bread or rice. Rice has minimal fiber, but it's also bleached. I think it's bleached. To go from brown rice to white rice, the shell of the rice is removed and the fiber content is drastically decreased. So whenever you eat these carbohydrates that spike your glucose systems, your body's going to have a lot of energy. But if you don't use that energy to its fullest extent, then it gets put into fat cells so that your body has energy later. The problem is we keep eating this sugar and these fat cells get so full and then they start to leak. They start to say, insulin, I can't take any more sugar. So it starts to ignore the insulin and it starts to leak so that the insulin is disrupted even further. It's a whole messy process. And you start to become insulin resistant. Type 2 diabetes starts to become a risk for you. Alzheimer's disease is like insulin resistance in the brain, according to Jordan Peterson. Same thing with dementia, insulin resistance in the brain. That's a disease where you forget a lot of things. It's terrible. That would be a very bad way to go down. And insulin resistance can happen even if you're skinny. Maybe you're skinny and your gut's a little bit bloated sometimes, and you think, oh, it's not that bad. The worst type of fat is called visceral fat. That's the fat that coats around your organs that's kind of invisible. Fat people are typically, you can tell that they're fat, but there's some people that are invisibly fat, that are still insulin resistant, and that's a bad thing. So if you're eating a lot of this sugar, it's something to be mindful about. Maybe it's not that bad right now, but as soon as you become insulin resistant, your life quality is going to become a lot worse. This visceral fat causes inflammation, another big problem. If you're constantly inflamed, it causes all of these other issues like bloating, gas. You're just always going to feel uncomfortable. This can lead to buildups of cholesterol so that you can get heart attacks and such. Terrible rabbit hole to go down. So we want to be eating healthy. We want to keep our gut strong so that this insulin sugar cycle stays healthy, stays balanced. So we want to avoid these carbs that don't provide a lot of fiber to us. That's basically the first step to get to level 2 in our gut. And then I've hypothesized that we want to start incorporating probiotics to help our friendly gut bacteria to get stronger and basically create an impenetrable gut. Now, maybe you don't care about your gut health, and I just want to warn you about what things could be like in the future. Sure, maybe these simple sugars are really good for working out, and if you like to work out, great. But if this still causes you brain fog, what's the use in being able to work out if you can't think? It terrifies me, the idea that maybe I can go all in the gym with this diet. But you can barely have a conversation with a friend because you can't think straight. And in turn, your life quality is going to go down a lot. Your socialization level will go down because your friends, they're going to want higher quality friends. If you're not providing the same quality that you were, they're going to think, oh, he changed. May as well go to the next one. And this may be an extreme example, and maybe your friends won't just leave you like that. Maybe it'll gradually decline, but the goal is to be at the highest level possible. Otherwise, you're going to be fighting for resources big time. And by resources, I mean relationships, maybe physical resources like money. If you can't enunciate your thoughts to your boss, maybe you'll get stuck in a job that you hate. And I don't want that for you guys. So, in summary, life is a hardcore video game. It's like a hardcore video game, and we want to reach the highest level possible. In order to do that, we have to cut out our vices. We have to cut out what's limiting us and leveling us down. In diet, a practical step for this, go on carnivore, and then try eating a piece of bread. See what it does to your brain, to your stomach, to your performance. See what it does to all of that. See how your body reacts to that. And then change your diet accordingly. Our goal is to optimize, not to become complacent. So, thank you guys for watching to the end. I think it's great that you want to learn about health. So, I commend you guys. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment if you think it deserves more views than it's got. You know the drill. See ya.